wonder what's hot in the baking world right now? It's not even that complicated. You get store-bought croissants, cut them open, shove in some store-bought cookie dough, and that's it.
Hi everyone, I'm Gemma Stafford, professional chef, cookbook author, and creator of Bigger Bolder Baking. Welcome to Need to Know, your go-to podcast for everything baking entertainment. From the latest trends,
this is the viral scrambled pancake trend.
What? To the tips and tricks you crave.
We discovered that if you take apple peels, toss them in a little cinnamon and sugar, and bake them for about an hour in the oven, you get a really lovely treat.
Plus exclusive interviews with baking pros.
Hey, it's Liz from the Sugar Geek Show. Thanks for having me, Gemma.
We've even got the Bold Baking Hotline to answer all of your baking queries and questions.
Is a Dutch oven really necessary for baking bread, and what difference does it make?
Yes, I think we probably would agree on that, do we, Oni?
Yeah, good. So join us every Sunday for your new weekly baking ritual. It's everything you need to know.
Hey everybody, I'm Greg Benson.
I'm Souther Teague.
And this is Damon Bolte from The Speakeasy. And we're excited to share our latest episode with you, especially if you're passionate about the craft and culture of Irish spirits. This week we had the pleasure of exploring the dynamic world of Irish spirits with three exceptional guests.
Yeah, Andy Ferreira from Cask joined us to discuss the evolution of the modern Irish on-premise and mixology scene. We also spoke with Tim Herlihy about the success of Lost Irish here in the United States. And finally, Dara Flanagan from Board Bia gave us some fascinating insights into what lies ahead for Irish spirits in the United States.
Exactly. So if you are curious about the heritage and future of Irish spirits, this episode is for you. And to deepen your understanding, we totally recommend exploring the Spirit of Ireland program. It's really cool. It's a comprehensive look at the rich history and renaissance of Irish spirits, featuring interviews with master distillers, barrel coopers, and a lot more. It even offers a sensory journey through the barley fields and barrel houses of Ireland, which is super cool.
Totally. So for those who want to dive deeper into the world of Irish spirits after listening to our latest episode, the Spirit of Ireland program offers an educational journey that goes way beyond the glass, taking you into the heart of Irish spirit making with stories, traditions, and a lot of innovations. Please visit irishfoodanddrink.com/Spirit of Ireland to learn more and find our latest episode wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Want to taste a flight of rare agave spirits at Rick Bayless's award-winning Bar Sotano? Or on La Barca Cantina, the storied taco boat touring New York's Hudson River? Or do you want to drink a special lager from the Maine Beer Company? Or how about coffee? Want to start your morning with a Mexican roast from the genius crew at Dark Matter? Well, you can do all those things and support Sacred in the process. Sacred is a not-for-profit that helps improve quality of life in the rural Mexican communities that make heritage agave spirits. We ask Mescalerics what problems they have, what solutions they imagine to resolve those problems, and what resources they need to enact those solutions. Then we go out and try to find those resources for them. All of those businesses I just mentioned, Bar Sotano, La Barca Cantina, Maine Beer Company, and Dark Matter Coffee, all of them have special offerings on right now that support Sacred. To learn more about these supportive, creative ventures, visit sacredagave.org/fun. That's sacredagave.org/fun, because real fun is also doing real good.
Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip.
I'm Luke Bank.
And I'm Linda Sullivan.
And this is Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps drink ex-bartenders better understand
agave spirits and rural Mexico.
You
Wait,
are
we're doing that
slowly
one, right?
encroaching in my space.
I know. Well, I listen to the intro so much.
That's fair.
It's like singing along to your favorite song.
So, Linda.
Dun, 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 dun. Sounds like I'm in trouble. You can use Linda Ann if I'm in trouble.
Linda Ann.
Oh, no.
You're not in trouble at all. Not at all. So once a century, Agave Road Trip goes out looking for the most important tequila of that era.
Wow.
I know. Now, there's still like easily 75 years left in this century, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you counted?
Time.
Yeah.
We've got time.
But I'm going to go on a limb here and say this early in the game, I've already identified the single most important tequila of the 21st century.
Wow. Words have been said. It's out there now.
I expected you were going to mock me for being old.
No, stay tuned.
Nothing. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
you
that'll
are
come up.
reaching your elderly prime earlier than I anticipated.
That's fair. So, Linda.
Which one is it?
Yeah, there you go. Hang on. I'm going to have to look up this name because I'm realizing I might not actually. Oh, wait, no, it's on the bottle.
Oh, my gosh, the best.
There we go. Okay.
You made a once-in-a-century discovery.
Well, it's like,
and the name is escaping
well,
you.
The specific name. I didn't want to fudge it. I don't want to just guess it.
No
want to
forking
get
around,
it right.
Eleanor.
Mi Genta.
Ah, mi genta.
Hang on. It's a special release.
Oh, I know what it is. Can I guess?
Yeah, sure.
It's this new series, the women's series, in the burgundy box, right?
Burgundy
Number
box.
one.
Yeah.
Number
It's
one.
Maestra Selección Numero Uno.
Yeah.
So why is this the single most important tequila of the 21st century?
Well, my guess, I mean, I have no idea. You're going to tell me.
This is interesting, but you saw the box.
Uh-huh. I've seen people post about it recently.
Yeah.
Like other agave nerds.
Yeah.
So I knew it existed. I've tabled with the folks from Mi Genta before. They've always been super kind to me, so I have a pod, but I don't know that much about the agave. I am guessing that the Mi Genta, I think it's either woman-owned or there's a woman producer.
Yeah.
My guess is that this line is going to be earmarked for highlighting her choices or maybe a team.
Well, you're not wrong, but
I love
wouldn't
that.
make it, for me, the most important of the century. Like, because it's interesting. I read so many things about, well, this is made by a woman, and they're so rare in the tequila industry. But then I keep reading that, like, well, there's a lot of women in the tequila industry. And I'm not saying as many as there are men.
Right.
But, you know.
And we're talking about it more, perhaps, than we were in the past.
Exactly.
I like all those arrows moving forward.
Yeah.
But why it's the most important, should I keep guessing? Or you
No,
want to tell me?
That's boring.
That's too long.
So,
Is it agricultural?
Oh, Linda, tell me more.
Oh, sorry, we had to stop there. We had to
Hang
move
on now. Okay, lean into that. Lean into it. What could
What would
possibly
be the most important?
have me?
I know. This has got to be the one that is claimed. I don't know if that's the right language to say because I don't know if you know or not or have been there. Is this the one that's claimed to be grown using all agave from seed?
Yeah.
Bazinga.
Yeah. So my understanding from speaking to them, I've not visited yet, and I'm trying to get us in
September?
In September. It's like in a week, Linda, that we're going to be in Mexico.
We are in September. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So in a week, you and I are going to be in Jalisco doing a couple of things. Wait, you're only doing one of the things. You're not doing both the things.
Why not? I want to do all the things.
No, you don't get to do the first thing. But we're going to be there together visiting a distillery. But we have an extra day, and I'm trying to get us to visit the Agavero, who grew these agaves that were used to make this special Mi Genta release, grew the agaves from seed. There's so much that I'm fascinated by. So first, before we get into the details, I want to run, because there's this whole conversation going on about it. So I want to run this quote that I've got from Juan Eduardo Nunez of Tequila El Viejito. Okay.
Some 8 or 10 years ago, we started noticing that agave plants were being attacked by a lot of plagues and diseases. And I started to wonder why that was, being that the agave plant is so resilient, right? So I had a little bit of background in biology in high school. And I guessed at the time that it was because of reproduction system that we have in the tequila industry, in which we don't let the agave finish its natural reproduction cycle. But we take the hijuelos, or the baby agave plant, from each plant and replant those, and thus not allowing the genetic exchange from nature. Afterwards, I discovered I wasn't wrong, because there's been studies on this, and there's been magazine publications and everything. But at the time, I wasn't really sure, and what I did is I let the agave plant flower, so they would produce the seeds, which I knew very little of, because in the industry, what we did is we always cut the flower off. Do not let the sugar of the piña go to the flower, because then you're messing up your raw material for your production. But inadvertently, you're screwing yourself over on the production side as an industry, right? So I got some agave plants, and I just left them in the field. I spoke with everybody. These are not to be harvested for production. And they grew, they flowered, and very interesting, because this has been a learning process, very empirical for me. I haven't done much research on it, and there's not that much research on it anyway, I believe.
Okay, so, right? So there's another tequilero, right, who recognizes the issues that exist in tequila as a result of just using the abuelos, which are really clones of a mother plant, and not letting the plant go to seed. And that ignores how it affects nature. That's just about that one plant, right?
And these are decisions that, in a lot of ways, are only made in the agave world because of the monocarpic nature of the plant. That's like a big decision you have to choose. Do you want to let it go to seed? Do you want to harvest it?
Well, sort of. You know, it's a decision that's literally not been made by and large in the world of tequila. They've ignored it. I've had people screaming at me who are farmers of Blue Weber agave saying you cannot grow Blue Weber from seed. Literally, people in Jalisco saying this.
Like, as in they have tried and have determined it's not possible?
Well, you know, that point, like talking to Juan Eduardo, he told me that if he says he gets a 5% germination rate, he would be exaggerating. So he gets very, very few.
Little. Okay.
But that's a result. It's not the plant doesn't know how. It's that the plant has been. It's like, you know, the royal family in Britain, like they have to use in vitro because they've been so inbred. I might be making that up, but there's so much. Or
we need a segment on Agave Road Trip called "Lou Stinks," and then it's just going to be you responding to all the complaints that come in from previous podcasts.
That's fair. Anyway, but
Okay,
it's all the inbreeding has weakened it.
Right. And it sounds like if those other folks who are telling you this is impossible, they could have tried X amount of methods, right? Waited X amount of years, and it may not have worked, because what you're saying about Juan Eduardo is that very low percentage of his seeds that he's kind of experimenting with are germinating. So the fact that other people found a lack of success, that tracks. He's like almost pushing just a little further, perhaps.
Right. But, you know, I've heard, I'm going to pull this out of my butt, but I've heard that Guillermo at Fortaleza has been working with the folks at Tequila Matchmaker with Scarlett and Grover to do exactly this for several years now. And they're up to about, last time I checked with him, was like a 20 to 25% germination rate.
Well, that's high.
Right, which is really good when you're looking at...
And that's also with Weber?
Blue Weber, yeah, exactly. But this is the first time I've heard of anybody, and this is the key, the first time I've heard, right, because, you know, I don't float around much in the tequila world. First time I've heard of anybody making a bottle using exclusively Blue Weber grown from seed. But here's the deal. To do that, then you have to be able to source Blue Weber from seed. Right. So I reached out to the folks at Mi Gente, and I asked them, okay, so what'd you do? And here's the rundown. I'm supposed to get a quote from them, so I might replace this with a quote at some point. But I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get this recorded and up, because I'm so excited about it. But they told me where they sourced from, and I don't want to say that because they're very protective of the source.
Okay.
But for this Agavero, he's got apparently a 50% germination rate.
Whoa!
Right? And so he's clearly been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Which suggests to me that he's also had to have sold some of these agaves to somebody. So somebody's been using seed-grown agave and either not noting it or not noticing it. One of the two.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you would think, wouldn't that be such a missed opportunity?
Well, maybe, and maybe they don't want to talk about it because then that also says, hey, everything else we do isn't.
Well,
right? It highlights the problem, which I get.
Okay.
I get. Okay, so 50% germination rate. And then They don't capone anything, right? It's just when it's ready, it's ready. And when I asked, okay, so what is the difference that you see between these agaves as a result of growing from seed versus the abuelos that are cloned? And the biggest difference was that the sugar content was even higher for these agaves than the ones they typically harvest.
Really?
Right, and I've always heard it would be the opposite.
I kind of was going to guess the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, but then is it because that seed, like how is he, what's he doing taking the seed from the pods in the quiote, and then is he like planting them with a lot of care and like watering them, and are they in a greenhouse?
It's definitely greenhouse. There's no way this is just outside.
Right, because the germination rate for wild agave, when you just let the seeds go, is super, super low,
Yeah, less
right?
than 1%.
Yeah. So he's kind of coddling them when they're babies, right? Which I would still think would produce the opposite effect, right? The sugar often comes from the hard work the plant has to do to grow.
Or at least that you would have, like, some of the plants come in stronger, some of the plants come in weaker. Like, you'd figure it'd be all over the mark, but I'd figure most of them would come in with lower count.
But they said literally,
they were able to produce more than they expected. They wouldn't give me the numbers, right?
Yeah.
But they were able to produce more than they'd expected because of that high bricks count.
Wow.
But here's the other thing that I love. Is this Agavero, and this is the main reason. Well, so many reasons I want to visit this guy, but or gal. I honestly don't know.
You don't know the Agavero? Oh, that did a little dyslexic there.
Agaverex. We'll call it Agaverex.
Okay, so you don't know what gender is the person. Is the producer a woman?
The
so the
Tequila.
title of the line is a result of the Tequila.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
But they are allowing 15 to 30% of those plants to go to flower. 15 to 30%, right? And you think about
well, do we know that's higher than usual?
Well, it depends on what you're talking. Like,
isn't the 80-20 rule kind of swimming out there for the folks with like a lot of land who are trying to produce wild or semi-silvestre? No?
Well,
I thought the 80-20 was
you're saying the folks out there, you're talking about not tequila now.
Oh,
because nobody's letting.
Right, you're right. I'm not talking about like farm. I'm thinking of like Sergio's land.
Right.
Like a big plot, tons of agave, sotol. It's a lot of it's going wild. A lot of it's harvesting. It's considered thumbs up, green light if you are letting 20% go to seed to further the way that you're treating the earth as well, right? So I am out of the tequila world. But it's important to note that. I'm glad you called me out because one of the reasons you're selecting this, right, as one of the most important tequilas of the century is because it's a tequila. You wouldn't select it in the same way if it was mezcal.
No, that's absolutely
so
right.
That's a big deal.
But it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I get so frustrated. I'm sure you've seen my posts online. You've probably even heard me say it in a podcast with you. I get so frustrated when people focus on additive free.
100%. I know that about you.
And additive free, like, that's about you. And you want to talk about changing laws so that you have to actually post you've got additives in any kind of alcohol. I'm for that.
Yeah.
But the idea that somehow it's a morals issue with tequila frustrates me because it's not. Mm-hmm. There's so many issues that we should be talking about, and to me, this is a huge one.
Right. This has a bigger. I mean, moral is kind of using in air quotes, but a bigger moral impact than additive free.
Oh, I think additive free has nothing to do with morals. I think this has everything to do with morals. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could even call this the most moral tequila of the century.
That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I would put it under a cool, like a non-beverage label category of mindful. It's mindful that you're looking at how does this plant reproduce, that it only gets one chance to reproduce, that I get to choose. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff like this costs money for him to wait for these, it's opportunity cost and it's money of raising the plant for him to wait like he is and let them to wait. Yeah. And go, let this percentage go to seed.
That's exactly right. But, it's a bigger cost to not, which is sort of the point.
Yeah.
If you look at the bat-friendly tequila, right, the it's in print they say 5% go to flower. I've had conversations with David, and he said 2% to 5%.
Oh, okay.
Right, but they haven't certified a tequila as bat friendly since it launched in 2016.
They haven't?
No, they haven't. And if you ask why, the answer you get back is because it's too expensive. And here, well, this sort of responds to that. It's too expensive to not do it. If you like, this for me is the tequila of the century because it ensures that there will be tequila later in this century.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah. And I think the expense of not allowing the agave to flower, not allowing the genetics of the agave, of the Blue Weber, to diversify, you're creating a problem that could literally take down. This is if not the biggest financial source, development source for Jalisco, it's got to be in the top 3. Yeah. And if that collapses, what happens to everybody who lives in Jalisco?
Right. It's so much, just as a human component, it is so much harder to do the right thing for future you.
Yeah.
And future whomever than it is to do whatever is most cost effective, perhaps the easiest in some cases. Going to sell, like there's a bunch of factors that make you choose what you're going to do today. Yeah. But to anticipate and spend money, actual dollars today to avoid a hypothesized problem. Now, I wouldn't say it's hypothesized. I would say that what's happening in the tequila industry is like pretty clear to see. But just like, people say to politicians, do you believe in climate change? Well, you don't have to believe it. You're just like, it's happening. Right. So I think it's really hard. I find a lot of honor and respect that I feel that towards people who are making that, to me, much more difficult decision to kind of protect the future of yourself, of your kids, of your, of the craft. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I do too. And I think we'll wrap on that. Hey, road trippers, before we get out of here, I got this last-minute audio clip from Magenta's Maestra Tequilera, Ana Maria Romero. Take it away, Ana Maria.
These are agaves that are grown from seed, spending 2 years in the nursery before being transferred to the field. As soon as we harvest them, I knew these very special agaves. The sugar content was so high, we got 25 or 30 average more yield than we expected. And it's not just the amount of sugar, but the complexity of the compounds in the plants that make the flavors in this tequila so unique. The Agave that we work with is the some have known for years, based in Presa of Tomites in Jesus Maria in the highlands of Jalisco. He understands that the replanting clone generation after generation weakens the DNA of plants, leading to more disease and health issues. Agave de semilla are more robust, representing a new generation of plants that are pollinated by bats and other animals. This is why biodiversity is so important. It is tied directly in the ability of the agave to reproduce in a way to create genetic variations in the species. This genetic variation in turn creates stronger plants. From this crop, the agave plants to allow 15 to 30% of the plants to also flower, creating more new generation of seed agave. When we start this project, who didn't know what the result will be? But the tequila these plants produces possesses flavors that are unique, distinct, and unexpected. I am trying for the people to experience and learn more about the depth and richness that is possible in tequila that use only agave, water, and yeast.
So congratulations, Magenta Maestra Selección Número Uno.
For being the premier selection of the century in tequila.
The most important tequila of the century.
There you go.
There's a certificate coming your way.
Sipped from the mobile studio.
Hasta pronto, Lindo.
See you later.
You've been listening to Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Gringex bartenders better understand agave spirits, and rural Mexico. We're blessed with sound engineering by Roy Sierra and a theme song performed by Gabriel Oliveira and Marco Ricos. Sign up to become a road tripper and listen to more episodes at agaveroadtrip.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. And if you hated it, well, I'm sure you'll let us know that too. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip is a production of 10 Angry Pit Bulls, Inc. Agave Road Trip is powered by Simplecast. Thank you for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is for our freshest content. Subscribe to our newsletter. To subscribe to our newsletter, enter your bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with Heritage Radio Network on Instagram and Twitter at @heritage_. Find Heritage Radio Network at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization using the power of educational storytelling about food to build a more equitable, resilient food system. Heritage Radio Network couldn't do that without support from listeners to Innovative Community Today. Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the Heritage Radio Network family by becoming a member. To become a member of the Heritage Radio Network, click on the beating heart of our homepage. Heritage Radio Network can become addictive. Programming you hear on Heritage Radio Network might lead you to eat, drink, and listen to more programming on Heritage Radio Network. If you drink, please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly, drive responsibly, eat responsibly too, and listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly. To listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly, wear protective earbuds. While wearing protective earbuds, do not drive, do not walk either. Sit in a comfortable chair. If that comfortable chair has a hard seat, please remember to stretch every 30 minutes. If you stretch every 30 minutes, please stay within your defined stressing capacity. And consult a doctor who specializes in stretching. If you don't have a doctor, maybe Dr. Ryan Acock, the Cocktail MD, can help you out. Thanks for listening. Agave Road Trip out.